Meeting is called to order for the special city council meeting, December 30th, 2015. Madam Clerk, the pledge, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. Councilman Bodier?
Present.
Councilman Benton?
Present.
Councilman Hewitt?
Present.
Councilman Johnston?
Present.
Councilman Wheeler?
Present.
Mayor Maselli?
Present.
Police Chief Walker?
Here.
Fire Chief St. Cyr?
Present.
And I'm here.
There are no special presentations today. Let's see. I would like to make some comments before the meeting gets started. I'd like to take this moment, this opportunity, to talk directly to our Harahan residents, our Harahan taxpayers, about what you deserve from your elected officials, all of us, when we're making decisions on your behalf. First and foremost, we must always remember that our decisions directly impact you and your family's safety and welfare. We must spend your tax dollars wisely and use our limited resources wisely. Because if we don't use them wisely, we may risk providing the essential services that you know you deserve and that we want to provide, such as our excellent fire and police departments and what they do to protect us every day. And even more basic, just simple, a functioning sewer system that allows you to use the commode during a simple rain. The foundation for all our decisions must be based on facts, backed up with data, provided by professionals known to you and whom you and I can hold accountable. Prior to coming to the meeting, I received an email from Councilman Hewitt asking if Mr. Wheat was going to be here today. I just received it, I printed it. I went over in detail the minutes and listening and actually wrote out almost verbatim the notes from the last meeting when Mr. Wheat was here. Mr. Wheat tried to be very clear whether he should be here at any subsequent meetings and to please let him know because we pay for his time. Through that meeting, he made it very clear also that he could not speak to another accountant's, our former CFO's budget because it wasn't his budget, and that he would be more ready to speak to a 2016 budget or an amended 15 budget in January or February. In the latter part of that meeting, Mr. Johnston, Councilman Johnston, stated that for the 2016 budget, what we really needed was the line item budget to be put in the proper format. What had happened is that it was provided, but it just wasn't in the proper format. I'd also like to address a few issues that I stated that I promised I would get back to, about some facts, about, since I believe, I think most of us, everyone here wants professionals and the input of professionals when we do things, about what has been provided to the citizens, to the council, and to the staff as far as the information they need to make their decisions. I didn't want to go from memory and rely on memory, so I spent about 4 to 6 hours going through old emails and messages and different things. And I'd like to give you a condensed version of the facts and circumstances as it relates to what has transpired with CFO and budget and information, et cetera. In January 2015, there was no operating budget in place, although it's required by law, by state law. to be placed by December the previous month, December 2014. So costly time and resources that should have been accounted for in 2014 were now charged to 2015. So important man hours from a CFO who should have been able to come in to a budget and ready to amend had to create that budget. February 19, 2015, the council was provided December 2014 closeout financials, not estimates, a hard closure of the month. That means all monies were accounted for, whether it was video poker, transportation, revenue, et cetera. Everything had come in, been accounted for, and had gone through a very significant spreadsheet to check for final closeouts. March 13, 2015, the council was provided January 2015 closeout financials. April 14, 2015, council was presented the 2015 proposed budget, and the adoption was delayed. June 3, 2015, the council was presented March 2015 closeout financials. June 2015, the legislative audit was in progress and identified significant problems in payroll and health insurance. June 2015, employee charged with payroll and health insurance resigns. No one had been cross-trained to know how to do those vital functions. The CFO then utilized precious time and resources to correct payroll and insurance deficiencies himself, causing a delay in financials, which he sent out in an email. The CFO also performed the day-to-day activities to make sure that the lapse in health insurance didn't happen for our employees, that it was done correctly, and to correct all the problems in the payroll, and to make sure that payroll was met for employees. The CFO continued to provide those day-to-day duties until an employee was hired and trained. June 23, 2015, the council was presented April closeout financials. June 24, 2015, the council approved 2015 budget. August, CFO sends out an email explaining the delay in the financials due to the personnel changes, and that those financials take at least a month to provide after the end of each month, clarifying again the timeliness of financials. September 9th, 2015, council was presented closeout financials through July 2015 and informed 2015 budget required amending. Then the budget amendments were presented to the council. November 2016 budget amendment budget provided in November. November 11th, the City Council was presented closeout financials through September 2015. November 2015, after that meeting, the CFO resigned. In December, we brought on Carr, Riggs, and Ingram to fill our urgent accounting needs during a very critical moment when budgets had strict deadlines. I'd also like to inform the council that during that transition, also that we are thankful to have someone who is volunteering as our city clerk. She's a volunteer, makes that clear. Ms. Johnson's normal role is to do the minutes. The minutes by law is a responsibility of the city clerk. That responsibility can be delegated. So in order to free up the city clerk tax collector, years ago it was decided, and Ms. Johnson has been doing the minutes for years. So now in this new volunteer role, she is not only doing the minutes, she's providing assistance in trying to meet the city clerk duties, and we've also had quite a number of additional meetings that normally haven't happened in previous years. So I'd like to take this opportunity again to thank Ms. Johnson for volunteering.
You're welcome.
I just wanted to make sure that I clarified somewhat. It doesn't go into depth everything that has transpired by no means, but what we've tried to do as a team to provide everyone the information that they need, that they require, and understand some of the difficulty during the transition period of one CFO leaving, a new firm coming in, and Ms. Johnson assuming responsibilities as a volunteer who is not obligated to hold office hours or do things, and the amount of hours she's put in is quite remarkable. That being said, would anyone like to, from the community, like to address the council? I'm going to just remind everyone to please, no cell phones at the dais, everyone to refrain from any inflammatory comments. Please try and not to make these things personal, and that we can talk intelligently about things. And I think our first person up for address the council is our esteemed Mayor, Mayor Mosca.
Honorable Mayor, Honorable Council, Vinnie Mosca, 7212 Stoneley Drive, Harahan. I understand you recently submitted the name of Gilbert Burez as a candidate for city attorney. I've known Gilbert for over 30 years. He's a very intelligent, tenacious, sensitive person. I like to call him a human being. He's user-friendly. He contacted me, and I met with him for over 2 hours recently. And I said, the first thing I said is, how did you come to get this? He said, I do yoga or something, Pilates with Sue Benton. I said, well, that's a good start. But Gilbert would serve the system, the community well, I believe, because he is respectful, he is not abrasive, he will work with any person, citizen, elected official, knowledgeable of the law, worked in New Orleans for a long, long time under Mayor Morial, and he did an excellent job for the mayor. I told him that, he said, well, Vinny, I know there's issues in Harahan. I said, Gilbert, when I was mayor, I got beat up so bad it was pathetic, but I always tried to turn the other cheek and understand that the city works with a council and a mayor. You got to have both. And I always looked at the city attorney to advise the city, not a particular council person, not the mayor per se, but what is the city's responsibility, liability, whatever. I said, in fact, when we were sued, I used to let the insurance companies handle the case to their attorneys, not the city attorney, because he really doesn't handle the city's lawsuits, he oversees them. And he'll point you in the right direction, who to get, who not to get. I said, it's gonna be a tough sell because there's a lot of issues. I said, you need to talk to each council person individually and spend as much time as they allow you to. And I said, look, Gilbert, maybe, and I'm not, I said, maybe you could do it on a probationary period. Because once they see how you are, you're gonna get the job. But maybe they'll look at you and say, well, let's do it for X number of months and reevaluate the situation. I mean, that's up to the mayor and the council, but, I just wanted to say that Gilbert, he's not gonna do anything to embarrass a council person or the mayor, fire chief, the police chief, or the community. Now, I say if there are any issues that you deem important in his background for any reason, consider appointing him temporarily, then investigate those issues. And if you just think there's a conflict or whatever, you can deal with that. But I think everyone agrees the city needs a city attorney. I mean, I'm an attorney, and I know I could not have, as an attorney, handle the fundamental issues of the city without David Corso. For me, it was just a blessing. He knew what he was doing. And the last thing, I have a few minutes left. All right, the last thing is,
We'll let you indulge to it.
Mac Dickerson, the former chief of police, he didn't like government. And one day he came to me and said, Vinny, I'm getting out of this. I don't like it. And what can I do for you, for the city? I said, well, Mac, you served Bobby Jindal as the bodyguard for his personal children. I said, what can the government do for the city? He says, I don't know. He calls me back and says, you have an appointment with Governor Jindal in 4 days. Okay. So I go to Baton Rouge, and I go see the governor, and he says, how can I help you? Anything you can do for Harahan would be help. Sewer. He said, sewer. He wrote down on a piece of paper a name and an address. He says, go there right now. So I go to this other government building, and they have 4 Indian intellectual men with all degrees. And they say, look, we can give you $4 million at less than 1% interest for a long period of time and defer payments for a period of time. I said, that'd be wonderful. So, because a lot of people say, what did Mac ever do for the city? And I want you to know, if it wasn't for him and the governor, it would have been hard to have gotten this sewer money. Because you just don't, you apply, and then you wait and see what happens. But they expedite the whole thing, and I know the mayor's right now making the decision with the council how to spend the money, which is great because we got sewer problems. But I wanted the council, the new council, to know, and the citizens that, I'm thankful to both Dickerson and the governor for that issue. And I wish y'all a good year, less tumultuous. Let's all start brand new. If I can help you in any way, call me up. And I'm willing to, I always turn the other cheek, forgive and forget, especially with the council, because they're all individual people and all different personalities, just as the mayor is. But at the end of the day, we're all here for the city. Everybody knows that. And the mayor said it earlier. We're here for the city to do what we got to do. And it's tough today because the money's dried up. State, federal, parish. I looked in the paper today. The state's got a $380 million deficit. Thank you. Happy New Year.
Mayor, if you just stay for a second, you and I hadn't even talked.
No.
I'd like to really personally thank you for speaking up for Mr. Burris, because by doing that, you spoke up for the city, and it proves that your heart truly is for the best interest of the city.
Well,
And I
appreciate
think it also, as a patriarch, one of our patriarchs,
Just a citizen.
it's a way of us ushering in a new year.
I appreciate that.
And I really thank
And
you.
I am just a citizen, and we don't have that many of them. If you look at, in comparison to other cities, we're blessed. People say there's no crime in Harahan. I tell the chief, because the people here, for the most part, don't commit crime, and the chief keeps the riffraff out. So we're lucky. Thank you very much.
But thank you. That was very
Tina,
welcomed words.
Can I say something?
It's addressed the council.
I just want to address what the mayor said to clarify. I did not find Mr. Burris. I don't want that to be what you all think that I was the one that found him. Tina told me his name. I didn't recognize his name. I came to a meeting, executive working session, and when I walked in, I looked at him and I said, "You look familiar." He said, "You look familiar." We went back and forth and then realized that we were in the same yoga class together in the Bywater. So I am not the one who found him. I just want
Thank
to
you.
make that clear.
Would anyone else like to address the council? We will now address the council. Approval of the reading of the minutes.
Okay, do we have reading of the minutes of December 15th, 2015 special meeting.
Do we have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnston, seconded by
Motion.
Councilman Hewitt. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays. Motion passes.
Okay, approval of the minutes of the December 15th special meeting.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnston, seconded by Councilman Wheeler. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays. Motion passes.
Reading of the minutes of the December 17th regular meeting.
Do I have a motion to dispense with the reading of the minutes?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnston, seconded by Councilman Hewitt. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays. Motion passes.
Approval of the minutes of the December 17th regular meeting.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnston, seconded by Councilman Hewitt. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays. Motion passes. There's nothing under communications, no resolutions today. So we will go on to ordinances for adoption. I'm asking, though, does anybody have an objection to our volunteer clerk reading the title only? Is that okay?
No objection.
Okay, no objection noted. Ms. Johnson?
An ordinance adopting the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2016 for the city of Harahan, Louisiana. You want me to read the body of it at least and then get down
Okay.
there? All right, the following ordinance was proposed by Councilman Benton and seconded by Councilman
I'll second.
Johnston. An ordinance adopting the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2016 for the city of Harahan, Louisiana. Be it ordained by the council of the city of Harahan, state of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of said city, that Section 1, the below estimate of revenue and expenditures as reflected in summary herein be and the same is hereby adopted to serve as the budget of revenue and expenditures for the city of Harahan for the fiscal year January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016. Section 2, the adoption of this budget shall form the framework for monitoring revenue and control expenditures as required by Louisiana Revised Statutes 39:1310. Section 3, attached here to, made a part hereof, and marked Schedule 1 is the line item budget. Section 4, any line item adjustment, i.e. reallocation within a departmental budget after final approval shall be submitted to the council for approval through a budget amendment. Section 5 is the budget.
Would anyone from the public wishing to speak to this ordinance wish to come up to the podium? Since there's no one from the public wishing to speak on this ordinance, we now can open this up for council discussion. Any discussion from the council?
We're going to use our schedule? We're going to go line by line on the schedule that we just received?
Well,
What do you
Ms.
guys suggest? I don't know.
Well, this is about discussion. If it's about the adoption, if you
Right.
want to go
So
line
this,
by.
so here's the ordinance, and then here's the schedule, right, that we got on.
I'd like to clarify also about the schedule for everyone. The schedule, this ordinance, all these budget ordinances, these 3 budget ordinances, were prepared by our former CFO, Robert Hines. Robert Hines is no longer with us. Robert Hines in November provided the usual thick packet that says year-to-date and proposed. The line item schedule, which is now in form, was within that packet. when it was provided. It just wasn't in the form. I am not an accountant. I don't choose to become one. With the help of Judy Johnson, our volunteer clerk, we transcribed his line items into the form. So I want to clarify that that's what we did, and that's acting as transcriptionist, transcribing those numbers that had been researched by Robert, negotiated with the different departments, and mulled over by him. If you want to start, Councilman Hewitt, about anything?
Yeah, I guess I'll go ahead and start with, I know we've talked a lot about the travel line item 40200, and for 2016, going to 5,000, where in 2015, we were budgeted for 1,000, right? So I have a question on the table. I don't know if anybody else has any thoughts with that. In addition, 4,600, accounting maintenance contract, the 24,283. Is that,
What line are you?
I'm still in the first
Oh, I'm
box of,
sorry. Non-departmental.
in 40600,
Okay.
accounting maintenance contract. Is that to pay the new CPA firm? Is that their line item?
Again, Councilman, I am not the accountant to refer to the in-depth parts of this. I don't want to misspeak or misrepresent what exactly that refers to.
Mayor, if I may speak for a second.
Please do.
There's quite a few line items that I have, but I guess, we can go over line for line, but one of the concerns, like, for instance, with the travel expense, the council has the right to amend and say if we're going to give it 2,000 or whatever it is that we decide to do. I think we'd like to go line for line, not every single line. I think the ones that people have concerns about, and I guess make an amendment to the budget.
Well, if we could just tie
Well-
back the two travels, maybe, if we would just start with that. If in 4,200 travel, non-departmental is 5,000. And then if you go down to the next cell area, general governmental,
Mm-hmm.
4,200.
Okay.
So there's another line item there for travel expense, 4,200 as well, for 5,015. So is the proposed travel 10,015?
For,
Right, different departments, but yeah, it adds up to.
like I am going to speak to this very frankly. I do not want to present myself as an accountant, or, nor do I have the underlying subcategories that address this with me.
Well, I mean,
And-
I guess
and
help me,
this
Mayor,
is-
help me that if you don't know, and you're the mayor.
I'm not saying I don't know, I'm just saying I don't want to speak as an accountant to officially state.
Well, I'm not asking you
the
to speak as an
exact-
accountant.
I
If there's
can-
two line items that add up to 10,015, is that what you're requesting, $10,000 in travel? That's pretty,
These
that's
are,
easy.
this is what I said. I took Robert's numbers and transcribed them into this form, period. The
And Rob-
total travel expenses,
Mhm.
we took a reflection of what was utilized last year. Travel expenses was an unforeseen expense, having to send people to Texas for training and to get our financial software system where it needed to be in a timely manner.
Right.
And also, there was a storm
Mhm.
that created them, that put them in such a position that they had to wait and have extra
Yeah,
hotel,
we
et cetera.
understand what happened.
So what,
'Cause the training, you have 6,000 for training and education, so that would be the
That's-
training, but this travel
the
is
tra-
10,015.
the travel, my understanding was that it was supposed to be a total of $6,000.
Right. And that's what Weed has.
Correct.
That's what?
Weed has, Mr. Weed has in this
Correct.
schedule that was provided with the mayor's message.
So are we going by this schedule,
I'm
or we're
not
going
saying
by
we're
that
going by it, I'm
schedule,
just
or
saying
this one?
That was his number.
Do we go line for line?
What
And
I
do- Okay.
I don't mean to cut you off, please finish.
Well, it seems to me that there are some lines that are in question compared to what was previous in years and what is now. And we know that there's nobody here to answer them. We understand that. So, for instance, if we go back to the non-departmental travel line, the 40,200 line, and it's 5,000. I guess to move this along, because we're going to be here.
Right.
I think we need to, do we say that we're making a motion to amend that line and agree to what's being given? Do we go down line for line?
My concern, Councilman Wheeler, is if we do have questions, because we have Mr. Don Wheat gave us something, we have the line item that Ms. Judy put into a line item format from Mr. Heinz, who's
Right.
no longer with the city. The mayor doesn't want to speak to any accounting questions. I don't even, how do we
When-
vote for it? How do we approve it if nobody
We've-
can answer the questions?
We've had numerous,
And we have we have this one for
We've
Mr.
had
Weed, who's not
numerous-
here, and we have this one for Mr. Heinz, who's no longer here.
let me reiterate, we've had numerous budget hearings and
Maybe
meetings.
we have, but today's the day to vote on it, and it's not kosher.
I just want to finish a thought. We had numerous budget meetings where we went through it ad nauseum with Robert Heinz, line by line by line, these same line items. All we did was transcribe those numbers into the form, period. The accounting maintenance contract, I believe that is for our audit contract that we've applied in the past, that we will be applying forward, but not having the sub-pieces to explain everything that's in every line item. I want to make sure I don't misrepresent anything. At the last city council meeting, that we've stated that Mr. Wheat was asked if he needed to, when he was asked to comment on the 2016 budget. I quote, "I don't have a say because I didn't prepare it. Mr. Heinz prepared it." There's a good deal of work to be done on my part to get a decent budget, something that everybody can agree on. He also stated that he would not have anything ready until, to address for 16, the budget for 16, until January or February. And he included amended budgets for 15 also, that he required the time to investigate the numbers. At the end of the meeting, it was questioned whether Mr. Wheat was needed for any additional meeting. And it's after he had made clear that he needed time to prepare budgets. And Mr. Johnston replied, not necessarily that Mr. Wheat needed to be present. We can look at the numbers. We can build it ourselves. We don't necessarily need him. So no one asked for Mr. Wheat to
My
be
suggestion
here.
is if you want to change, just change. And then if we have to adjust numbers later, we can adjust numbers
And
later.
that's kind of what I'd like to do.
Can we,
Right.
or you like, can we go in and add a new line item on each department of what we don't believe to be, and
Well-
call it surplus line item?
Well, that's kind of what I was,
Come
there was a
back to
few,
when
there was a
it needs to
few
be
line
used.
items that I felt were, in my opinion, over budgeted that I would like to reduce down. Take the total of the surplus and create a new line called 2016 revenue surplus and just put it somewhere until we can get a better understanding of exactly what these items are and the definition. Like, for instance, accounting maintenance contract. Mayor, you mentioned something about auditing. Well, you drop down 5 lines, there's
Oh, sorry.
$28,000 for auditing.
I looked at the wrong number. That's why I'm told you,
Well,
I
and
don't
that-
want
and-
to.
Mayor?
We've gone through the
It's-
line
it's-
items ad nauseum with Robert.
Okay, and we
piece
can go
by
through them
piece,
again.
Piece by piece. But, again, I'll refer to my opening remarks. We have paid professionals to do this once. Now, we are paying professionals to do it again. I will
I
not
don't know what that means. What do you
Well,
mean?
we
ma'am, does it-
paid a CFO to prepare a budget. We had multiple budget hearings. Then it was asked at the last minute, at the last meeting, sorry, not last minute, for Mr. Wheat to develop 16 and amended 15.
No, actually, that was his recommendation in the meeting he had with Councilman Wheeler and myself, that he said the in-code financial system numbers did not match the run that Robert Heinz provided to him. Therefore, he did not feel comfortable with any of the numbers because they didn't match. Therefore, he needed time to do his due diligence. It wasn't we requested. He needed to do that for the job we've hired him to do.
When asked from the, let's see,
We could beat this till the
Right,
day
we
is gone.
could.
Yeah, the
We-
thing that
We have to
I'm-
try and move on and get this done. Like I
And
said, we can
not
make
only
amendments.
that,
And
this
the problem
was-
is that we had a CFO that left us right in the middle of budget hearings. So we have to move forward with or without him. And
and I just want to clarify that this budget was built with each department, multiple meetings, and that it is the mayors and this, with the CFO, who present the budget.
But it's also the council to approve it.
correct.
It's a proposed budget, and then what happens is the council, yes, you have all due diligence, know the numbers, and then to amend a budget.
Well, why can't we amend it now before we
can.
adopt it?
We can.
Okay.
Then I would suggest
Okay.
anything
So
that
can
you
we
would
move
like
on? There's
to.
a first line item, the
amend.
travel expenses under non-departmental, that's 5,000.
Are we gonna go departmental,
Well,
each
that-
department, and then
I'm-
add a surplus line item on each
Well,
department?
what I had kind of just
would
made,
be
just on my own, was I was going through certain line items that I had questions about that I thought had accelerated in the past years. And for instance, travel and non-departmental.
I
It's been
think we, should we do this one item at a time so we can pass a motion?
Well, that's,
do it?
so the question is, do we adopt and amend? Or I say we go through the lines, amend.
Amend and adopt.
I would like to do a running total of the surplus, or whoever, doesn't matter, and then create a new line item under revenue called 2016 surplus. And at that time, once we get a better understanding of these numbers, then we can always go back and take that surplus and move it accordingly, and put it into certain departments.
I'll go ahead and add it up for you.
Okay? And this is up for discussion, so believe me, I'm not, if we can agree on the amounts, these were just figures that I kind of put in my head. Like the travel expense is 5,000, I think it should be 1,000, that's what it's been for the last 3 years.
All right, so
Again,
let's-
that's just,
Councilman Wheeler, let's start from the top, and
Okay.
let's work our way number by number
Okay.
on the ones that you have an issue with, so we can,
but I'd like it open
keep
for
up with you.
anyone too. I mean, if there's other lines.
okay?
Right.
I just want to keep up with you.
Okay, so non-departmental, travel, the 40,200 line, 5,000, I think it should be 1,000.
Got it.
We've talked about the bank service charges. I know Robert had mentioned it is something to do with the direct deposits. I still think somebody needs to address that with the bank and maybe see if we can reduce that down. I'm not asking for that line to be amended, but I think that's something that still needs to be brought up. We've asked
I've
about
asked
it.
for that for an entire year.
That's fine. The accounting maintenance contract,
Give me the line item.
oh, I'm sorry, that is 40600, the 24,283. My understanding, I think that was a new line item that was created.
Well, accounting services, the 48, which is the line we paid Robert out of.
Right, and then
is
you have auditing, so I don't understand
41010.
what counting contracts need to be maintained. I personally feel that should be zero, and that whole amount should move to the surplus line until we can get a better understanding of what that money is for.
24,283. Okay.
The legal fees for the council, that's $4,000 a year. We have engaged Mr. Garrity as to be our legal counsel. $4,000 a year is not going to cover his salary. So I have left a question mark there, and I'm open to anybody on suggestions. I think that amount needs to increase.
What do you think it needs to be increased by?
I would say at least
Doubled?
Well, he said he's,
it's
the letter was.
175
175
an hour.
And what do we,
And
why
we
are
usually,
why
and
are
we usually
engaging him?
pay the city attorney
25.
$2,400 a month.
Let me reiterate, Mr. Garrity has not been hired. The only person who can enter into contracts is the mayor. And no one can represent this city without being hired and contracted.
He's not
Period.
representing the city, he's representing the council.
In your email, you put that he is representing the council on a city issue. So no, that's not what.
Well, if you read
And
Mr. Garrity's-
also, he can only be hired and contracted with the approval of the mayor and the signature of the mayor.
I think you're mistaken.
Yeah, I think we'll get in a legal opinion on it.
That would be
Unfortunately.
novel.
Now, let me reiterate, the reason why I've asked the city council to engage with Mr. Garrity is an issue to do with the business in the city of Harahan. And in order to help this guy's business grow and create more of a commercial tax base, we've been working with him on a distance of liquor law, which he's just a few feet short of, so he can serve liquor in the back of his room. So this mayor has stopped me at literally almost at every turn to try to hurt this man's business. And this is not a personal venture on myself.
Personal point of privilege.
This is not personal to me.
This is personal to me. Do not say my intentions when you don't know my intentions, please.
Well,
I
have
have,
tried to help
I'd
this
like
man
to
every
finish my
way.
sentence. I have never tried to impede anyone's business. We are promoting business. We are having a city attorney being nominated and voted on January 17th, and you just
21st.
had,
21st.
21st, is that the date? That will be able to address this issue should this council see fit to nominate, to approve his nomination. That is the appropriate person to address this issue. That is representing the city with a city issue. I would just caution that council members cannot enter into negotiations, contract negotiations individually with contractors or professional services or anything. You cannot do that negotiation.
I just want to say, this seems to me, I mean, in all due respect, it seems as though you're trying to circumvent that we don't have a city attorney and put in place a
Absolutely not at
city
all.
attorney. Well, don't you think this is a matter for a city attorney?
I think it's a matter for an attorney.
I think we need to get back to only dealing with the budget.
Yes,
I think that's a separate issue that we should discuss. And I think you are very welcome to start attending our weekly meetings. I'd love to have you and discuss these issues. I'd like to pull the case law, the AG opinions, the Larson Act, et cetera, everything that applies to these issues. And also, hopefully, we can have our city attorney address these issues.
Okay.
What line item did we leave off?
We were on legal fees, council. I guess we'll
Okay,
maybe
so
come
we'll
back
just,
to that
we'll
line.
come back to that and amend.
Legal fees and lawsuits, $40,820. It's been increased to $50,000. In the past year or last year, it was 39,750.
But we budget that just in case we need to pay the premium for a lawsuit?
So I say maybe budget what it originally was before, and if it comes the time that we need to increase it, we can amend it at that time.
Which is what, 39?
The 39,750. Again, this is open
Right,
for
of course,
discussion with
of course.
everybody.
What number is that?
This is 40820, legal fees and lawsuits. City attorney is up to 40,000. In previous years, it's been right about the 25,000, because it's two something a month, I think 2250, give or take. I think that should go back to 25 and move that 15 into the surplus.
Do you know how long it's been at 25?
I only have runs to 2013, Mayor, so no, I
Do
do
you
not.
know what the standard hourly rate for an attorney is?
No, do you?
There are different levels depending on level of expertise. Just as there is in accounting, 95 for a junior partner, 125 for senior.
Okay, well, we can address
For-
that when a city
for-
attorney is hired. I just,
If the
if you
money's
hire
not
the
there,
city
we can't
attorney and you
hire.
say that this is all the city can pay, that should be disclosed initially upon his hire.
That is, I'm just going to tell you, you have to pay professionals a decent wage in order to get the
How were we able to
time.
keep David Cursell for 17 years?
At 25, so in 17 years, he didn't get a pay raise. I would say that was remiss on prior councils for not increasing his pay.
And we had two
And,
this
and,
Yeah.
and
They got
Mr.
the same
Corsell
amount.
is
They
not
got the
here.
same amount.
Exactly.
And I would also tell you that if you divide, if you want to use just the low number of $125 an hour, which is low rate, at $40,000, I think you're talking about 6.4 hours a week.
We can't even give our employees a raise, and we're talking about increasing the city attorney.
Yeah, I agree.
I say it
No.
goes back to the original amount.
I agree.
Next line, the 40830 council meeting. I'm assuming this is transcription and video, and Mayor, I know we had talked about this, that it appears that maybe the services for our televised council meetings, the amount has increased. I would think until we know exactly what that amount is and see the contract of whatever servicer is going to provide that service to us, I personally think that should be zero.
Is it true that we will not
Is that just
have-
video, or does that include, I noticed the remark from Ms. Judy, does that include your salary?
I'm sure it does.
No, it does not. I don't
Well-
think it includes your salary of
Well, maybe we should
transcription.
find out before we
It's
make.
not
the
in
motions.
general government.
Okay.
What
I-
we just,
Do we project, do we have a Cox Cable contract in place for 2016?
No, ma'am.
they no longer provide the service. Period.
So you're
this
basing
9,000 is from whose contract?
I have called multiple facilities, agencies. It is standard, average of $600 a council meeting.
I just still feel until we get a better feel on exactly what the cost is, and maybe we get several estimates from different providers, I just think that should be zero and the 9 should move to the surplus.
Okay.
Got it.
And I'm sorry, if we can go back, what did everyone agree on with city attorney going back to 25,000?
Yes.
I had 25
When did it go to 40?
this year.
Right
For the
now.
proposed 2016.
It was 25. It was nothing in the 2 previous years, and then she asked for 40.
Have you increased any of your rates, Councilman Wheeler, when you're in business yourself? Are you still charging the same rate that you did that was charged 15 years ago, 16
Well,
years
actually,
ago?
Mayor, I've only owned my business for approximately 6 years, and the only costs that I increase are actual hard cost. My fees have not increased.
What I'm getting at is a loaf of bread over 15 years has increased. The cost to do business increased.
Are we back
That-
to the city attorney line?
Yes.
Okay, then my suggestion would be if you hire a city attorney, this is the annual salary, and that increase can be given to other employees in different departments. If you don't want the pay, then don't take the job. Somebody else will. I'm sorry. I think that should be made up front when somebody applies or gets nominated for the position. If you get approved, this is what the annual pay is. And let that person decide whether they want to take the job or not.
Well, just like what was reiterated earlier, Mr. London and Mr. Anselmo both accepted that rate.
Right.
They didn't turn their nose up at it.
This is a discussion that we can have at a further
Okay.
time. Why don't we just proceed with your
Okay.
line item?
The other one, again, we've addressed this before, even with Robert. I never got a full explanation. Line 41010, it says accounting services 48, but then we have miscellaneous 10. That miscellaneous doesn't even have a line item, or number, I should say.
What
I-
is that, what is that for?
Well, that's the problem. We've never got an answer, so I feel that should be 0, and that 10 should move to the surplus.
Mayor, do you know what it's for?
I'm not, I think we're moving through your budget now, so not mine. I would think
No,
that we can just
Mayor.
continue going through the lines.
These are just suggestions. That's all that I found in non-departmental. Going into general government administration, kind of reiterating what Councilman Hewitt had mentioned, the travel expenses, 40,200, 515. I suggest 1,500. The 3515 move into the surplus. The training and education.
I've lost you on what line
I'm
item?
sorry, 40,200
4,200.
under general government
Oh,
administration.
y'all are doing that one, I'm doing that big one, okay.
Travel expenses, the 5,015, previous years it was 1,000. I think 1,500. Again, this is just suggestions. And then the overage move into the surplus,
Which was the overage, how much
Have to do
again?
the math.
about $3,500, it would be 3,515.
Got it.
35.
Training and education, 40300 at 6,000. I think 2,500, 3,500 moves
What has
to
it
the
been?
surplus. What's that mean? Dana?
Trying to see what it's been.
Let's see, training expenses in 2013 were 1,000. 2014 was, was 600 in 2013, was 981 in 2014. We budget 1,000 in 2015, and she's asking for 6,000 in 2016.
So is the proposed to bring it back down to 1,000?
No, 2,500.
Well, I mean, again, we can do 1,000, or maybe meet in the middle and do 2. Again, this is just suggestions that I was kind of going through.
Okay, so I'm gonna put the surplus at 4,000.
And then the only question I had, and I know Robert had provided this to us before, but I know since then we've hired another person in City Hall. I believe also an employee received a raise. The salary lines, the 49,000 of 161,511. I guess I'm gonna need to get with Don to provide us with a breakdown, but also this salaries, other subcontractors, 49,100 of 15,000. Why would we need to hire a subcontractor for City Hall? Mayor, do you know what that's for?
Like I said,
Okay, I was just,
we have gone through these line items with Robert at nauseum.
and I don't think he
Mayor,
answered it at that
Mayor, if we
time.
went, if we went through your department at nauseum, you can't tell us what the $15,000 is for? It's your
I'm not-
department.
I don't want to challenge
Challenge.
or question
Question.
the expertise that has
Finance
gone
of
into
this.
building this,
Okay.
or the changes.
I don't think anyone's challenging anyone's expertise. This is your department. There's about 20 line items, and you can't tell us what $15,000 is for. I'm
There are
sure if I
other-
asked the chief, two chiefs
There
right
are
here.
other-
If you could tell me
there
a line,
are-
excuse me, if I asked you what a line item was for your department, you would know it backwards and forwards, right? It's your department.
I-
Live and breathe it every day.
If I had, I would have Robert here, and I would have pulled all the data if I thought we were going to go through this line item by line item again. I do not want to pretend to speak by memory or be misquoted or
Okay,
misrepresented.
so I say that's moved to 0, and the 15 go to the surplus until we get a better understanding of what the subcontractor is.
Okay?
That was all in general governmental administration for me. And then my only concern, Chief Walker, maybe you can answer this for me. In your training, education, your 40300, $3,500. I think I remember speaking to you and also Ms. Whittle, that don't your officers aren't they required to attend so many continuing eds?
We do that, and most of that is done in-house.
Okay, so do you ever have to farm it out where they have to go to continuing ed to maintain their,
Normally not, but this is, we have some new officers coming on board that are going to train.
and I believe that amount needs to be increased.
Where's your line item?
That would be
Second page.
40300 under Police Department, Training and Education. $3,500 to me just
So
didn't seem like it was
This
enough.
had been negotiated
And
prior.
I know Robert said he had spoken to you,
Right.
and that was something that you had submitted.
Right.
I'm not challenging your submission,
Right.
but I just thought it was a little low considering the number of police officers that you have. But if you're saying a lot of them are in-house, you would know.
That
It
20
just
hours
seemed,
is in-house. We have new officers that'll go through a training academy, starting in January, February next.
and that's a cost to your
It
department.
is.
And that 3,500 will cover the new,
At present, it will.
okay.
Thank you.
I just thought it was just a little low.
Appreciate it.
No, no. I didn't realize you did stuff in-house.
Yeah, we
Okay.
couldn't afford it with,
No, that's, no,
19
Robert had mentioned to us
regulars
that
and
he met with,
28 reserves, we couldn't afford to send it out.
no, that's exactly what I
Yeah,
thought.
yeah.
I think that we had didn't we have a question about recreation we talked about when we were looking for
Um,
this together?
Well, we
Field
did, but I know
maintenance?
Robert said that he had met with Stu. One of the concerns I had just in recreation, I'm sorry, let me,
Jerry, what did you want to move his training and education up to?
well,
Chief
I
said
was
he's
under the
fine.
impression that Chief Walker
he's
had
fine.
to, but he said that that's sufficient.
Perfect.
I didn't realize stuff was done in-house. I thought maybe they had to go somewhere else, and it just seemed like a low expense.
Instructors we had to send out of town or to other classes.
But, and then the only thing on,
Was it field maintenance?
yes,
Seemed
and
like
I
it-
know we had asked Robert, and I don't think we ever got a definitive answer on this one, too. This is under recreation field maintenance. Line number is 45300. It drastically went up from 2014.
I've lost you, what?
Oh, I'm
um,
sorry, it's under recreation.
Oh, it's at the bottom.
It's field maintenance 45300. Field maintenance is 29,660.
So in 2013, it was 8,000.
2014 was 6,000. 2015 was almost 30,000, and they're projecting 30,000 approximately in 2016. I don't believe we ever got a definitive answer of why it increased so dramatically. Does, okay,
Don't quote me
No, no,
100%
no,
on
that's
this.
okay.
Don't quote me
That's
100%,
okay.
but I think when we first went over it back in June or whatever it was, I think he was saying that certain things were under the wrong line item, I
Yes,
believe, and
that's
he
what
had to move them into that line item. Like I said, don't quote me 100% on that.
Things
That's
were being allocated or paid under the wrong.
Elsewhere,
Yes,
right.
That's what I remember.
Right,
so he
that's-
just lumped it under field maintenance?
That's what I got
Okay.
the impression
Okay.
of. Yeah.
He moved it where it was supposed to be, is what I
Okay.
remember him saying.
Other than that, those seem to just be the ones that really kind of caught out to me. Councilman Hewitt, do you have an approximate total? Oh, I'm sorry.
I made my notes. Tim, did you write it down too, so you can
I did.
check me?
Oh, sorry.
Nine, four, seven, nine, eight.
I'm sorry, I should have been, I was kind of writing it, but I didn't. Wasn't totaling it up.
What you got?
94798.
I got 95348.
4,000.
Yeah, I got 95048.
So approximately 95?
I think we got to know the exact amount.
I have
there.
4,000.
Aren't we gonna do it, this and then this?
Yeah.
So
So
it
we'll have to
should
do the
be
total for
that-
non-departmental,
yes,
and then the
yeah,
total for
right.
general.
25, 9, 10, 3515, 4, 94798.
And you did all departments?
What?
You did all, or you just doing
Yeah, I think we're going to have to separate them in what's non-departmental and what's general.
Oh, gotcha. May I make a suggestion? Do we have a motion to amend this, the non-departmental,
Yes,
Yeah.
motion.
by Hewitt, seconded by?
Second.
All right, would you list the
Well, I
totals,
mean, I think,
I come up with 80.
the totals you have for
Yeah.
that one
Okay,
section?
you ready? Want me to tell you the line item?
The first line item is travel, you changed it to $1,000.
Yes,
Second was accounting maintenance contract, changed to 0.
yes.
yes.
Legal fees and lawsuits changed to 39,750
750.
750.
750 also, all right. City attorneys changed to 25,000. Council meeting transcription and video is 0. Miscellaneous
Where was
expense
that?
is 0,
Yes.
correct?
Mm-hmm.
We need a
I
vote.
can run a total.
Oh, okay, wait a second. Oh, that's where the difference is.
Do we need a total right now, or we vote on
I'm
this?
totaling it.
We're amending it,
Right.
I don't need a total for the
Okay.
moment, I just need a vote on the motion.
Is there a vote on the motion?
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yay.
Okay.
Any opposed?
Nay.
We have 4 yeas, 1 nay, motion passes.
Okay. Then in general government, we need a motion.
I'll motion.
Second?
Do we need to delineate the?
Yes,
The
please.
motion, please?
Travel expenses, let me tell you what I have, 1,500. Training and education, 2,000.
500, I thought-
Salaries of the subcontractors, 0.
Correct, yes.
And that's it. Those 3 lines.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion
motion?
by Councilman Wheeler,
Wheeler,
seconded
By
by
Bodier.
Councilman Bodier. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed?
Nay.
We have 4 yeas, 1 nay, motion passes.
Okay. Is that all the amendments?
Actually, I have one question. On this, on the ordinance itself, it says non-departmental expenses, 688,934. Then when you go to the schedule on department total, it has 1,092,295.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Say it again, Kurt.
When you go on the ordinance for non-departmental expenses, it says 688,934. But when you go on to Schedule 1 under non-departmental, if you go down to department total, it comes to 1,092,295. Which,
Oh,
What
I see.
page are you on Schedule A that you're referencing?
oh, the very first one.
Oh, I saw your thing folded, so I thought you were on the first page.
I'm just a little confused by that one.
Okay, and then tying it back to what here?
Right, that was on expenses, non-departmental, on the second page, top one.
I think it has to do with the transfers.
The
Yeah, I don't
transfers, okay.
understand.
He's only got 3 transfers listed on the schedule, and there's 4,
It's okay. He's saying
5 listed on the budget.
it's not the same as this.
I'll have to check with him. I don't know.
So the ordinance doesn't match the schedule.
The figures due from the original budget, so I don't know. I'm not an accountant either.
So what's the difference?
I mean, it's now.
We'll have to figure that out.
I know, I don't feel,
We did.
I mean, do we feel comfortable voting for this?
I mean,
God
we had to-
bless.
We had to figure out how to get past that first little part, make sure it adds up, figure out what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I don't know why that would be like that, non-departmental expenses.
This first section on the budget, that's revenues. This is expenses.
On the second page. Second page page right here.
Ms. Judy, is 2016 estimated general fund expenditures.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at non-departmental
Non-departmental
expense,
expenses, and this is
600
non-departmental
If you
expenses.
look at the line items themselves,
688.
it comes up to a million something. Now, of course, they've reduced it down since, but
Yeah, I mean, this isn't revenues, this is expenses.
Right.
I just picked up the figures
Seems
we
like
had.
it should
I don't know.
match.
Oh, what?
you can calculate that.
Non-departmental expenses, if you jump down where it says transfer to capital appearance, and transfer to sewer,
Yeah.
Okay.
that's added,
Did
instead
the-
of listing it all.
Okay, so that would be under some, okay.
Correct.
I
It-
see.
It totals, he probably
okay.
should have maybe
I
put
got
it
you.
under
I got you.
expenses.
Yeah, I didn't see it, I apologize. That's what happened. Okay,
Yeah.
You added them up, Carrie?
so those three should have been put by themselves, probably at
Well-
the end of the schedule.
Well, what he did was he itemized it and gave us a total, but instead of, he maybe.
Gotcha,
he-
okay,
He backed them out and showed what was non-departmental expenses and then what was transfer to capital.
gotcha.
I mean,
Yeah.
I can add them up real quick, but
I'm
I
adding
kind of did the,
Right, yeah, I see it
It's-
right
That
here.
is it,
It's-
that's exactly it,
Okay,
that's it.
yeah, I apologize.
72,650,
Okay,
403 plus 688.
yeah, it's about 400,000, and when you add that to the 688,
mhm,
403,361.
403,361,
When you add
even?
that to the when you add that to the 688,934, you get to the
Yep.
109,225.
okay, that worked, okay. Sorry about that.
Okay? Clear?
Yeah, we're good.
All right, I need a motion to adopt.
Do we have a motion to adopt?
Motion?
I have a motion by Councilman Johnston,
Second.
So do we-
seconded by Councilman Bodier. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed?
Nay.
We have 4 yeas, 1 nays. Motion passes, ordinance passes. Ordinance number 2, Ms. Johnson.
I'm sorry, hold on one second.
between the two.
Ordinance number 2, an ordinance adopting the annual budget for the sales tax fund for the city of Harahan, Louisiana for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2016. The following ordinance was introduced by Councilman Benton and seconded by Councilman
I'll take it.
Johnston.
Johnston. An ordinance adopting the annual budget for the sales tax fund for the city of Harahan, Louisiana for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2016. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Harahan, state of Louisiana, acting as the governing authority of said city, that Section 1, the below estimate of revenue and expenditures reflected in the summary herein be and the same is hereby adopted to serve as the sales tax fund for the city of Harahan for the fiscal year December 31st, 2016. Section 2, the adoption of this budget amendment shall form the framework for monitoring revenue and control expenditures as required by Louisiana Revised Statute 39:1310. Section 3, attached hereto, made a part hereof and marked Schedule 1 is the line item budget.
Would anyone like to speak to, from the public, like to speak to this ordinance? Since we have no one from the public who would like to speak to this ordinance, we will close it to the public, and the council is free to discuss. Is there any discussion?
I have no discussion.
There's no discussion. Having no further discussion, we'll proceed with the vote. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays. Ordinance passes.
And, I'm sorry, can I cut in real quick? Going back to that ordinance number 1, we adopted it, but did we put the line item with how much?
Well, we're
is-
probably gonna have to do a
You
motion to.
amended it and then adopted it.
But
right.
she added a line item to it, and don't we have to put the total
Yes.
amount into it?
Yes,
And we didn't do that.
yes,
Well, y'all, somebody give me a total.
you're correct.
Make a motion to amend the line item.
Would you like a motion to amend the agenda to refer back to
Ordinance.
ordinance number
number
1?
Motion.
I have a
Second.
motion to amend the agenda to refer back to ordinance number 1 by Councilman Bodier, seconded by Councilman Wheeler. All in favor?
Yeah.
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays. Motion passes.
Okay, so what do we need?
So now we would need to add the line
Okay,
item
so I
that you
came
want
up
with the
with
totals.
an approximate surplus on non-departmental of 63,533. And then in general government administration, I came up with a surplus of 22,515. which would make the total 94,798.
The total for what?
That's the total between the two. I gave them individually, and then I put the total.
But you would need to give me a total on non-departmental.
I
and
did.
then-
She just did.
Okay,
Okay,
I'll
so
do it
that's
again.
the total.
Non-departmental was 63,533.
Right,
General government was 22,515.
okay,
The total just was 94,798.
okay.
And that would be a line item surplus
I would
until
like
we-
to create
until
a
we
new
find out
line
where these
item
other
under
ones go.
revenue called 2016 surplus revenue.
Right. Until we find out more information on this other stuff.
Correct.
Okay. We need a motion to.
Do I have a
adopt-
motion to,
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Wheeler
I'll second.
to change the line items and create a revenue line items as documented, seconded by Councilman Johnston. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays, motion passes. We will now proceed back to the orders of the day and do ordinance number 3.
Ordinance number 3 is an ordinance adopting the annual budget of revenues and expenditures for the storage department for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2016. The following ordinance was introduced by Councilman Benton and seconded by Councilman
I'll take it.
Johnston. An ordinance adopting the annual budget of revenue and expenditures for the sewage department for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2016 for the city of Harahan, Louisiana. Now therefore be it ordained by the council of the city of Harahan, state of Louisiana, acting as governing authority of said city, that Section 1, the below estimate of revenue and expenditures reflected in the summary herein be and the same is hereby adopted to serve as the budget of revenue and expenditures for the city of Harahan for the fiscal year January 1st, 2016 through December 31st, 2016. Section 2, the adoption of this budget amendment shall form the framework for monitoring revenue and control expenditures as required by Louisiana Revised Statute 39:1310. Section 3 attached hereto made a part hereof and marked Schedule 1 as the line item budget. Section 4, surge and operation and maintenance is what it's for.
We will now open it up to the public for public discussion. From anyone from the public like to speak to this ordinance? Being that there's no public discussion, we will proceed with council discussion. Would anyone from the council like to discuss the ordinance?
Mayor, was there ever any follow-up? If there was, I don't remember. We had asked at the last council meeting that the revenues were less than the expenditures, and if that was correct, and if someone would explain that to us.
I here again talked to Councilman Wheeler. It was brought to my attention last night that this question had come up.
We talked about it at the last council
Right.
meeting.
That's why we also have executive working sessions, so we can hammer out these issues and address them. And this was not addressed. It shouldn't be addressed the moment of or the night
We
before.
So
talked
business
about
can-
it at the last
Wait.
council meeting, not the day before. The last council meeting.
Right, and no one came to executive working sessions to discuss it and to
You're
work
right,
it
I was out
out.
of town with my family. I apologize. So, can we talk about it?
So.
It was brought up at the December 17th council meeting. I
And-
specifically asked,
And we had a conversation.
we did, and I spoke to some council members. I told them that I would reach out to Robert. It got away from me. I didn't get a chance to ask him.
So, do we know the
Um,
answer?
I don't want to speak in accounting terms. It is
It's something to do with depreciation.
it's because the depreciation is considered, and this was mimicking what was adopted in July of 2015, because we're utilizing accounting principles and put in depreciation for a non-cash asset.
Right, but you can see the concerns of some of the other council members, like you and I had spoke before.
I agree.
We're bringing forth an ordinance that, you know, who's to say the legislative auditors don't get a hold of this and say, you've got 875 in revenue, but you got 896 in expenditures.
All budgets were put forth to the legislative auditor for their consult. Every ordinance, every budget amendment, everything. All financials, all runs were sent.
I don't feel comfortable approving it with the deficit. And I guess when Mr. Don Week comes at the next meeting in January, he could better explain the depreciation expense of the 113,000.
The difference is only
It's about 21,000.
yeah, which is about what it was. I think it was 12,000 in the previous budget.
Because the depreciation changes.
Right. I mean, isn't it something, if we did it last year, we should probably be able to do it again. If by chance Mr. Wheat finds an issue with it, we could always come back and amend it.
I think that's a good idea.
I mean, it's just an idea,
Yeah.
just to try and get it done in time.
It doesn't need to be unanimous.
Be it that there's, is there any further discussion?
I don't want to defer, but I don't support it till we know it's correct.
Having no further discussion, we'll proceed with the vote. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed?
Nay.
We have 2 yays, 3 nays. Ordinance fails. Would anyone, we will now address the council. Would anyone from the public, from the community, like to address the council? Please step up to the podium. If there's no one from the public who would like to address the council, we will now move to reports. Chief Walker.
No report.
Chief St. Cyr.
No report, thank you.
Councilman Bodier.
I just want to apologize to the mayor for my comments earlier. I didn't mean to pick out the mayor, but I'm getting just a little bit frustrated on trying to help this business, and I'm looking for alternate ways of trying to get him up and going, just to try to help and create and promote business here. And so I just want to apologize to the mayor for my remarks directly at her. I just feel like I'm being turned back at every front, and I feel like it's personal on me sometimes. So, again, that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you, Councilman Bodier. Councilman Hewitt, report.
No report.
Councilman Johnston.
No report.
Councilman Wheeler.
No report.
Councilman Benton.
Well, I just want to point out one thing that I find it interesting that the council chose to strip the mayor, the budgets that most directly affect the mayor's day-to-day operations of $100,000, and put it, not take it away from her, but give themselves more control over it, which speaks to what Mr. Wheat implied, that his perception was that the council intended to use the budget to hamstring this administration, and that's why I voted against those amendments, and that's what it looks like to me.
Well, that's interesting. He can make that observation when he's only met with me once for 30 minutes and we've never worked together. But
This is-
that's an interesting observation.
He, thank you. Do you have any further
Well,
to your
I can
report?
read what he said. Okay, this is what I gathered from Mr. Wheat's comments at the meeting, is that our budget ordinance requiring line item form is not clear in terms of specifically delineating the level of detail required for the line item budget. According to Mr. Wheat, there are many levels of detail that could be adopted. Also, according to Mr. Wheat, New Orleans and Jefferson Parish do not adopt a budget at the level of detail that this council is requiring, because it would be an exercise in futility based on the number of amendments and special meetings that would be required to stay in compliance, and that it hamstrings the administration, which is what I believe is the true intent of that ordinance and this council in approving that ordinance. We are requiring a level of detail that is not properly provided for in the ordinance. He also explained that adoption of amendments for the previous year's budget are not necessary in order to prepare a budget for the coming year. The year is never closed out prior to January or February, so the budget for the coming year, which is required in mid-November, per Mr. Johnston's other ordinance, is always based on the projected or estimated numbers for that year, based on what has actually been spent to that point. So I don't know how he came to that conclusion, but he did, and I think he's right.
Well, Sue, I have to make one comment. Maybe maybe
reports
we can help Mr. Weed and you understand that this is not Jefferson Parish, that's the city of Harahan.
Exactly. We're smaller. We have less resources.
I'd like to make a report. I worked with professionals, a CPA, certified public accountant. It's not an easy certification to achieve. On behalf of the city, worked with departments, Chief Walker, Chief St. Cyr, and others to put together a budget. The Local Government Budget Act requires that the mayor present a budget. That it should not be amended to such an extent that it no longer resembles what was advertised. It also cannot be amended to such an extent that makes it impossible to run a government or day-to-day operations. I would make it clear that this council, acting without accountant suggestions, approval, input, have risked day-to-day operations and services to our city, that these are independent acts not supported by the professionals you deserve. When we can't even agree that a line item for an attorney to support the city should be increased after 16 years, it's not a good day for Harahan.
Well, and Mayor,
You
when was-
can't buy, this is a report from me,
Okay.
that you cannot hire professionals and pay them basically nothing and expect to attract the quality, input, advice that you deserve. This is a dangerous precedent. There is a block vote on this council. I will be sending my recommendations, my concerns to the legislative auditor and to the AG. What transpired here today is sad for the city of Harahan. I purposely did not want to speak to specific budget items. I do not want to pretend to be an accountant. We were here for the vote of this. It had been gone over. We do have weekly executive sessions so that we can pound out the light items that were concerning the council. It is going to be a new year. We will all have to face the ramifications of the votes that transpire. The health, safety, and welfare of our citizens will not be compromised in spite of the poor actions or poor votes that sometimes occur. I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year. I'd like to repeat to the former mayor, thank you for speaking up on Mr. Burris's behalf. He is an excellent candidate. And it is not easy for candidates and professionals to come into some situations where there's so much acrimony. I am praying that that acrimony will get better as we work together to resolve the problems that are before us. So happy New Year to everyone. Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Johnston, seconded by Councilman Baudier. All in favor?
Yay.
Any opposed? We have 5 yeas, 0 nays. Motion passes.